Welcome to Story Recap. Today, I'll show you a historical drama series from 2015 named The Last Kingdom. Be aware, spoilers ahead, so sit back, relax, and enjoy. Let's get started with a rundown of the first 5 seasons of The Last Kingdom. The seasons begin during a period when the Danes and the Saxons despise one another's guts. The Danish seek silver for land, and protection because the Danes are constantly invading the Saxons. Also, because the Danes worship the Norse gods, but Christians worship only one god, and it all leads to the main plot. It's where we meet Uhtred of Babenberg, a young man heir to his father's castle. However, once the Danes attacked, he was taken in as an enslaved person by the Danes. His uncle Aelfric, who only wants to see Uhtred falls, claims the castle as his own, and plans to keep it that way. That being said, Uhtred grows up as a Dane since, after becoming a slave, he was adopted by a Dane named Earl Ragnar. He has a son named Ragnar who becomes Uhtred's brother, as well as his sister Thyra. After that, Uhtred falls in love with Brida, another slave girl. Unlike Uhtred from Season 1, she is knowledgeable. Because Ragnar and Thyra slaughtered Uhtred's new family, Uhtred and Brida travel to the kingdom of Wessex, where 3 significant events occur. The first is that he reconnects with his long-lost father figure, Bjorka. The second is when he meets Aelfric, his new best friend who works directly under the monarch. And that gets us to the third point. He meets King Alfred, who wasn't intended to be king in the first place. Instead, a man named Ethelwald was supposed to be the one. However, he is human garbage and is unfit to lead anybody. So instead of executing him, they keep him alive and well cared for, despite the audience's clear better sense. In any case, King Alfred begins to use Uhtred to defeat the Danes. Brida quits and joins Ragnar since she doesn't like it, and the 3 promised to get together again when it was time to save those who had been unfortunate enough to be brought in as enslaved people. When King Alfred realizes that Uhtred is the strongest fighter in the country, he marries him off to a girl named Mildred, and they have a child together. But once Uhtred meets and falls in love with Iseult, the child dies swiftly. Mildred becomes enraged, and the marriage is called off. She goes on to become a nun and is never seen again. And Iseult is tragically killed in the season's last fight, in which both King Alfred and Uhtred assisted in the defeat of the Danes. However, after the death of Uhtred's new closest buddy Aelfric in Season 2, Uhtred meets Finan, who becomes his new best friend. Of course, they were both enslaved people in the meanwhile, but that's besides the point. What matters is that Ragnar and Uhtred ultimately assist in Thyra's rescue. She falls in love with Bjorka's father, and the two marry. Uhtred marries a Danish woman called Lady Gisela. He then marries Alfred's daughter, Ethelflaed, to Ethelred, Lord of Mercia, to realize Alfred's aim of merging all kingdoms into one unified kingdom known as England. On the other hand, Ethelred turns out to be a louse who treats Ethelflaed terribly, so much so that the Danish captures Ethelflaed. She falls in love with Eric, a Danish warrior, and becomes pregnant with his child. Eric and Eric's brother Siegfried were both killed in the penultimate fight of the season, in which both Wessex and Mercia joined forces against the Danes. And it was then that we understood that Ethelred genuinely wants Ethelflaed dead, and like Alfred, wants to be king. This gets us to Season 3 when Lady Gisela dies after delivering Uhtred's 3 children, and Uhtred gives King Alfred much of his life. With everything out of the way, here's the Season 3 narrative. Season 3's antagonist is Ethelwald. Here's how he gets to be the bad guy. He travels to Denmark and meets with Hastin and Dunham, who are 2 Danish leaders. He further claims that once the 3rd leader promised to assist him, the 3rd leader's brother, Uhtred, who is also married to Brida, found Ragnar dead. Ethelwald murdered him in his sleep, and as a result, Dunham becomes a leader of those Danes. King Alfred is on his deathbed simultaneously, and his son Prince Edward is the next in line. As a result, he marries Lady Elfet. Unfortunately, Edward had a son named Athelstan before he married, and his parents disapproved of her, so they divorced. After some time, Uhtred and Brida discover that Athelwold is the one who murdered Ragnar. As a result, they exact vengeance in another great fight against the Danes, in which both Canute and Haston flee. Alfred speaks to Uhtred after that king. This encounter was essential because King Alfred apologizes to Uhtred and acknowledges that he would not be where he is without Uhtred's assistance. He also makes a last plea to Uhtred, requesting that he keep an eye on Edward and assist him in becoming a great king. He then dies with his wife Lady Elsmith by his side, and sadly, that's not the only death. Thyra, the wife of Beocca and sister to Uhtred, is forced to take her own life after being trapped in a fire. It is because she is constantly being bullied for being Danish. Finally, the season ends with Uhtred and Lady Ethelflaed developing a relationship, and that finally brings us to Season 4. In Season 4, Uhtred finally tries to take over his home kingdom of Babenberg, which his uncle controls. Before taking over, he recruits his son, who initially hates his dad but slowly grows to love him. With the help of his father Beocca, who goes with them, he is sadly killed while protecting Uhtred's son. With Father Beocca's death, they fail to return to Babenberg and head back home. Soon after, Uhtred and his men return to Wessex Mercia, and the Welsh go to battle. During this battle, 3 important things happen. The first is that Brida killed Canute. Brida is pregnant with his child because she found out that he was the one who made Ethelwald kill Ragnar. The second thing is that Uhtred refuses to send Brida to Valhalla, which means he refuses to kill her. So instead, she is taken in by the Welsh as an enslaved person, and if you've never seen a villain backstory, this is it right here. The third thing is that the Lord of Mercia, named Ethelred, is fatally wounded in battle, and after he's killed on his deathbed by his general-eared wolf, Uhtred becomes the new Lord of Mercia. A town in the Kingdom of Wessex is taken over by a Dame Sigtryggr, who also happens to have Brida fighting alongside him. And Brida wants nothing but the death of all Saxons. But she gets nothing else. She wants to kill Uhtred. Anyways, Sigtryggr also captures Uhtred's daughter, and she likes him too. With the help of Uhtred, King Edward was able to negotiate with Sigtryggr, and the negotiation came down to Edward agreeing to give up some land and Uhtred giving up his daughter. And since she was willing to go, he let her go. Also, one essential thing to know this season is that Edith and Finan might get together. Lady Aelfric is also on her deathbed because she was poisoned. In Season 5, Uhtred and the son of Uhtred are concerned about his old buddy Brida. Brida takes an army of soldiers and her daughter Seir from Iceland to York to disturb Uhtred's life in Runcorn as he tries to care for little Ethelstan. Brida's onslaught upsets the country's relative tranquility and threatens to shatter Alfred's goal of a united kingdom before his death. Throughout it all, the cunning Lord Ethelhelm plots to usurp King Edward's crown for his grandson, and his activities set in motion a fight for England's very heart, one in which Uhtred must once again play a key role. Uhtred and Ethelstan reunite in Babenberg's burning courtyard as the season comes to a close. Ethelstan urges him to depart, but Uhtred is adamant that he will die at Babenberg. Then, as rainfall pours down, the heavens open up, putting out the fires. Uhtred eventually gets his birthright and makes a bargain with Constantine, who then leaves. Uhtred informs Constantine that he assured him that Northumbria could serve as a mediator between England and Scotland unless a ruler worthy of unifying the country arose. That's how the entire series ended. If you like the story, please give this video a like and subscribe to the channel. And what recap do you want to see next? Let us know in the comment section below.